Live. I am with my friend, my brother, the one that they call Nasher of Quick Stop F1. I'm vexed, I'm feeling. I've had it up to here. My days of paying dues are over. Acknowledge me as in here. Yeah. What are you saying, Nasher? How are you doing, chap?
I'm good. I'm good, man. I'm out
You're
here.
all right. You're all right.
I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm just glad to be here at the home of wheel knowledge. Thank you for having me yet again on your show, Cameron. You see, I got dressed up as well. I said, you know what? Let me put something on nice. Do you know what I mean? I'm going around Cam's house. Let me put something nice on. Do you know what I mean?
Go.
Everyone, I don't want to say it because like last time I come on, everyone's like, and that guy in the pink hat. There's no pink hat today. You can say that guy in the fucking turtleneck.
Let's go. Let us go. Chap, we've got to talk about some F1. I know we've been talking offline, but I want to update the people. We've been disagreeing on Lewis, on Ferrari, on Max, on Lando, on everything. And I feel like, when you finish watching a really good race, Nash, and you just want to diatribe it and post-mortem it, debrief it indeed with someone. I just want to take 30 minutes, mate, and pick your brain and have an argument somehow, some way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to talk some sense into you, mate. So
how very dare you, sir? Some sense. How, where, and why?
Whoa,
What have I got? What have I got wrong, Nasher?
Let's see what you bring up, and then we'll go from there.
Go on, then. Since you couch it in those terms in the first instance, let's talk about Lewis. No, we have to talk about Lewis. I mean,
let's do it.
I mean, he's in the thumbnail. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
His name is the one above the door each and every single time, and this is the topic about which we disagree ad infinitum in perpetuity. Tell me what you think about the communication between Sir Lewis and his race engineer, because that feels like it's the most polemic of circumstance as far as the Australian Grand Prix. Some on that side of the fence are saying that Lewis was being absolutely disrespectful and he needs to put some respect on Adami's name and stop talking to him like that. On the other side of the fence, people are saying, well, give the dude the proper information. He's a 7-time champion, GOAT settings, Mount Rushmore of F1 each and every single time. Why are you telling him when he needs to activate his bloody overtake mode? Don't tell Lewis Hamilton to drive. To that, sir, you say what?
I say erroneous on both counts. Okay, I'm sick and tired of this shit. Kimi Räikkönen made a whole personality out of talking to his engineer like a dick, and that is celebrated worldwide. He became a cult personality. Lewis Hamilton, every time he told him he didn't want information, do you know what he said afterwards? He said, please, I'm okay. Thank you. I don't need any more information. Please, let me drive the car. Please. Like, at no point was he rude. At no point was he, at any point aggressive. But he was a driver. As Martin Brundle said, some of the most difficult track conditions that you could possibly look to drive in. We've got rookies and elder statesmen going off the track, crashing into the walls. We've got a track with white lines, rain, all different types of rubber, greased up, baked in by the hot weather, and then you've put a fine sheen of water on the top of it afterwards. Difficult conditions. He wants to concentrate. So when you're telling him things about DRS, right, and settings on the wheel, he's just trying to stay alive. He's having a difficult time enough. I think I saw somewhere on our comments that Lewis's quickest lap was slower. It was probably 8th or 9th quickest lap, out of the whole field. So he's clearly struggling with the car. And I think he said afterwards, the car just wanted to go in the wall. I was just out there surviving. So I think just trying to have the headspace to be able to drive the car in that condition. I don't think there's anything wrong with what Lewis done. I'll tell you what is a problem, Cameron. I'll tell you what's a big fucking problem is if I'm on the phone to my engineer and I'm like, we're on a risky strategy. I'm here trying to see Wagwan right now with the rain. Is there going to be more rain coming through? If I say to you, is there going to be more rain? I need a definitive answer. Maybe, or no, is this going to be the same amount of rain? And what I don't need to hear is maybe, hopefully. There's not a setting on the radar that says, oh, hopefully there's going to be Class A rain in 2 minutes. What's the radar saying? So for me, I think the blame squarely lies on the engineer. There could be, like you say, cultural issues, language issues for sure. English not being his first language, but I just think, I don't think the race engineer did a good enough job in the critical moments, and I think it cost Ferrari big points. And look, Charles and Lewis did the same strategy, so it's not just Lewis's engineer that messed up; it's the whole Ferrari pit wall, and it's not good enough.
Oh, the humanity, says Baxty in the chat. Go on, where do we begin with this, Nasha? Look, there's a story once upon a time that somebody told me in Natural Born Killers, mention no names, about a snake, a Native American that took a snake in, harvested it, like nurtured it, got it medicine, brought it back to life and good health from injury. And then all of a sudden he woke up one day and the snake had bitten him. And he looked at the snake, he said, "What have you done to me? Like, I cared for you, chap. I got your medicine. You've bitten me." And he said, "Didn't you know I was a fudging snake? What else did you expect? If, Nasha, you move from Mercedes to Ferrari, you should expect these things." Now, listen, this isn't me saying that Lewis is the perfect victim. In fact, you probably could argue that he is the perfect victim, but he had perfect information about Scuderia Ferrari and the shenanigans and consistent incompetence that's on display each and every single turn. If you go over there and you can't speak Italian, this is what's going to happen, Nasha. If you go over there and you can't bring Bono, then you're going to have communication difficulties. Expect then, as Carlos Sainz did, that they will get to the weather forecast wrong, that they will tell you the wrong thing, that they'll talk to you as they did with Carlos Sainz when he's bloody in an overtake or on a hot lap, in the moments when you need it least. This, Nasha, is Ferrari. We were all celebrating a couple of weeks ago when it went all viral on Instagram and you could see Lewis in his halo and it was the double pinstripe suit with the bloody flared out trouser bottoms, etc. Yeah, not fair play. We all loved it then. But then the naysayers then were saying, all right, then let me see. Now, when we get to Australia, let me see what you've got. Let me see, Ferrari, whether you can back up this chat. And evidently, Nasha, they can't. The answer was a resounding no. They can't.
What is there a question in there,
mate? This is it. This is a statement of fact. The problem. Let me say. No, I'll round it off. Actually, Nasha. The problem is this, Nasha.
Yeah.
When we were talking about the unprecedented eighth and the probability that Sir Lewis will get there, I expressed to you concerns last time we talked that all this hype was a misdirection, a misnomer, a deception, even that looking at Lewis in in front of the F40 was gonna. It was easy to believe that he had to win at eighth, that this was HBO 24/7 and Floyd Mayweather settings. What I saw in Australia was proof positive, not necessarily that Lewis has lost a step in terms of his pace, whatever. He's still getting his feet underneath the table. So 2/10 sounds about right as far as a delta between him and the quickest point to point on the grid in his team. Sounds about right. But what concerns me, Nasha, is that he doesn't even have the pipeworks nor the infrastructure as far as a team and the car requisite to winning that unprecedented date. That Lewis Hamilton thought he was going over to a house that was already built, and it's just got bloody one wall up, mate. Not even that. There's no wallpaper. There's nothing. What am I missing here, Nasha?
Look, I think he'd do a great disservice to Lewis Hamilton if you think that me and you sat here in our houses commentating on Formula One as experienced as we are in watching this sport 3 decades deep. If you and I know that Ferrari have issues, if you think Lewis Hamilton is going into this blind with a view that everything over there is perfect and I'm going to walk into it, it's going to be a plug and play situation where I walk in and everything's fine and whatever. This guy's on the grid. It's a traveling circus, as Martin Brundle always likes to say. And within that, everyone knows each other's business. They know close up and they know full well how these teams operate, whether they operate well or badly. And people nick people from the Mercedes engine department because they know Mercedes building good engines. People nick people from the Red Bull aerodynamic department because they know that Red Bull have got really good aerodynamic people. No one's jacking someone from the Ferrari strategy team. Do you know what I mean? You never see that. You never see news like, wow, lead strategy from Ferrari's gone to fucking whatever, right? And if they have left, they've gone to a lesser team. So for me, like I think Lewis has been very clear. I think even Fred's been very clear. Why have they signed Lewis Hamilton? Because he's a leader. He's won world championships. Charles, for all his talent, hasn't. Carlos Sainz, Mr. fucking Alan Prost incarnate that you seem to think he is, hasn't won championships. So he's bringing him in for his experience, for his leadership. And it is times like yesterday where if Lewis Hamilton is going to win championships, those are the things that he and Ferrari need to get together and they need to sort out. Whether that's a personnel change, whether that's communication, whether that's process. Within that, there needs to be a change. And I think it would have been a bonus if there was a real fight for the championship from Ferrari this year, no matter what they were saying. I think really and truly it's 2026, where if it's not looking possible in 2026, then I would harbor reservations about number 8 coming in, but I think it's not disingenuous, but I think it's folly to assume that Lewis Hamilton wasn't aware of the house or lack thereof. Yeah, we can all do fucking yeah, we can all we can all we can yeah, but or lack thereof that he was walking into.
So the problem is then, Nasha, why not prepare accordingly, right? Like, where's the Italian? Like, if you
he's trying. Oh my god! When's the last time you learned the language?
What do you mean, Nasha? You really want me to answer that?
No, don't start with the Spanish.
Mate, if I know anything about language learning, you gotta. It takes time, chap. Nobody, unless you're some sort of savant, you're not gonna pick up anything in a couple of months. And Lewis has had himself 12 of those. So I don't know. I don't even know. I'm speculating here, Nasha. I don't know at what stage Lewis Hamilton's Italian is at. So,
but you can't speak Italian on the radio anyway. So
this is true.
So maybe it would work for like behind the scenes for when they're going through these processes and like But you would again, you would hope Ferrari international team. I would assume, as English is the given sport language in the sport, that if they're hiring people, as much as they do know Italian, obviously, that they have at least a level of English where they'd be able to communicate with Lewis Hamilton. But he is learning, and I'm sure that over time that will get better. But how much he's able to learn, he's not going to be at Charles Leclerc levels. So it's gonna be a difficult one. That's 100%. I think it's folly to think that the communication side of things isn't gonna be an issue.
Nasha said folly. Jody Malted Milk says, I don't think it has anything to do with language. Lewis said to leave him to it, and his engineer insisted on keeping going on. Yeah. I thought it was quite insulting, to be honest. Let me read out Pericles and address this straight out the back. Pericles says, welcome to the Lewis Haters house, or Lewis Haters channel. How very dare you, Pericles? Do you know what I mean? I mean, Pericles, where were you in 2006? Be honest, Pericles. Were you here in 2006 watching Lewis before we even got into into F1 in 2007? I don't think you were, chap. But I digress. Go on.
I mean, there is a man that is spamming like Lewis is finished in the chat. So like there is something like.
No, all right then. Since you brought it, I wasn't even going to bring it up, Nasha. But since you brought up the Lewis Hamilton is washed talk, I didn't want to do it. You see where we're going with this, Nasha? I think we've got to go there. I think let's give the people what they want. All right, let's go. All right, let's go for it.
Let's give them what they want.
Is Lewis washed, Nasha? If not, how and why, sir?
I think washed is really disrespectful. Like I think that's disrespectful. If you want to have a real argument, are we discussing is Lewis Hamilton at the peak of his powers? And I think Lewis would probably say that is that raw pace there from 2007 to God, who knows when, 13, 14. The McLaren raw pace days, right? Is that there? Maybe not. But I think in terms of total package, look, 2023, Lewis Hamilton dragged a disgusting Mercedes car to third in the championship, right? Using all kinds of manners of tire preservation strategy. I think anyone else, I don't. Well, obviously, even George, as good as George was, really struggled that year. Last year, George wasn't able to take that Mercedes car to the heights that Lewis Hamilton took it. So in
What?
2023, in 2023, in
Okay.
2023.
Okay. I
Okay,
was gonna
relax,
chaos,
relax,
chaos, Nasha
relax,
incoming.
relax. So all I'm saying is that for me, we've got to look at like the complete drive. I think I saw the drive in Belgium last year. I saw the drive in Silverstone last year. I saw the drive in Vegas. That wasn't even that long ago last year. I think was it where else was it where he got a podium? On the podium, Qatar was it? No, Abu Dhabi. Sorry, again, a great recovery drive. So I don't think that Lewis Hamilton is. I think people who say Lewis Hamilton is washed sometimes the same people turn around and say Fernando Alonso, oh, wily old fox, and it's just like, what is the parameters of washed here? What are we doing? Like, what are we doing here? Like, for me, I'd like to see. I think this Ferrari period is going to be really. I think it's going to be really. I guess I wouldn't say like defining for his career because I think he's got his career. His career's done, but I think how he's remembered on the way out will be defined by how well he does at Ferrari. Because obviously, the last 3 years in Mercedes, in some people's minds, has cemented this idea that he's no longer the driver that he once was. And there's obviously a lot of people, myself included, who still think that given the right equipment, which really and truly is a prerequisite for being a good, for being respected at the top end of the sport. I think, we still think he's there. So I don't know. I don't think he's washed at all. I think it's disrespectful to even to say that. But he does need he does need a couple good seasons, I guess, to shift some people's narrative. Not my narrative. I'll tell you that for free. But obviously some people's narratives, maybe. Yours included, I guess.
Nasha, as much as I love Lewis Hamilton, I feel like I love truth, value, and objectivity more. I feel like I love F1 more than I love Sir Lewis Hamilton. So I can't look on what I've seen over the past 36 months and not state the obvious. I mean, you've talked about it offline, right? Has he lost a tenth or two in pace on the Sir Lewis Hamilton of 2018? Probably. I mean, it's hard to say. It's hard to compare apples and apples in this weird.
I mean, look, he won how many races out of 20 in 2020? Like,
fair, but we're not talking about Lewis Hamilton in 2020. We're talking about Lewis Hamilton in
no. I'm saying,
right?
I'm saying like, what's the cutoff point? I guess
2024, chap. I'm trying to compare it the latest iteration that we've seen.
Okay.
And maybe you could make the argument, Nasha, if you're going to make it, that 2025 Lewis will be a completely different beast to 2024 Lewis, that he'd grown to be stale, that Mercedes boys and girls, Brackley and Bricks, if he was sick of the sight of them and needed to go to Pastors and and eat some pasta and drink some red wine. Maybe now we're going to get proper Lewis, maybe. But if we get the Lewis Hamilton of 2024, you've got to state the obvious, Nasha. Like, he wasn't. You don't get beat by George Russell. As good as George is, again, nobody doesn't like the dude, but as good as that dude is, you don't get beat by George Russell 19-5 in qualifying, notwithstanding the fact that you don't meld or blend with the car. If your name is Sir Lewis Carl Davidson Hamilton, there is an underlying variable change to which we have to speak, Nash. There's no way that 2018 Sir Lewis jumps in a car, even if he doesn't like it, and gets beat that much, to that extent, by King George Russell of Kings Lynn, Norfolk. I'm not having it, Nasha. so then explain me what's happened. What's happened? Because I think we can both work on that. We can both use that working assumption, though.
I honestly, if you're telling me that Lewis Hamilton is in a car and that car for the back half of last season is just randomly spinning on him, like out of nowhere, he's struggling to keep it out of barriers. for some reason he's unable to, you know, the car only works in cold conditions, but the car only, also only can't seem to warm up its tires, or they don't seem to have the correct tire warm ups, and they've got different parts towards the end of back end of last season, and he's admitting to running experiments on the car even though he's leaving at the back end of last season. That is quoted by Toto, James and Lewis. I can understand where you're coming from. I don't I don't think that I don't think personally, I think there's too many. I can understand where you're coming from. I personally, and this is a personal choice, I am choosing to kind of take that year as an outlier, if anything, as an anomaly in the data set. You obviously can point to the fact that it's the most recent set of data we've got, and therefore that's fine. I can respect that. I don't agree with it. And for me, I just don't think I don't think we know everything about last season with Mercedes, and two, I don't think that I don't think it was as sweet as a divorce as everyone tries to make it out to be. And I think that did affect him. Do I think that Lewis? One thing I will say is we've heard a lot more from Lewis about his mental state of mind. I guess since 2021, and how it may affect him. And I think what we saw towards the back end of last season was a driver that was completely devoid of confidence, completely devoid of any kind of the Lewis that light that we're seeing today with Lewis, him coming out with statements like, oh, maybe I'm just slow. That for me, that was the most concerning thing. And you have to look at the environment that he was in. So I think for me, if there's a trend this season in a new team and whatever, and obviously he needs to get used to the car, but if there's a trend this season that is similar to last season, then yeah, maybe I'll start to entertain those conversations. But for me, I just think there's so many variables and factors that went into last season that I can't use those definitively over a much bigger data set to show that he's not. I think washed is a big thing. Like you don't win 2 races last season if you're washed.
I think you take exception to the terminology, right? It's the
okay. You don't win 2 races last season and get the job done, especially in difficult conditions in Silverstone. By the way, a lot of people could have lost that race. You talk about race management. He pitted at the right time. He was on the right tires at the right time. Other teams weren't. So for me, I just think you can't. With that evidence there, I'd rather look at that evidence and say that there's still a driver there who's capable of competing at the top level, the very, very top level, World Driver Championship level. The proof will be in the pudding, I guess, with Ferrari and Lewis in the next few years.
Very well said there. Market leading F1 insight and analysis from the one that they call Nasher of Quick Stop F1. Macon Too Generous says, what would Barry say? And again, of course, he's alluding to the fact that Nasher of Quick Stop F1, there's a cheeky news show daily in a character called Barry. What would Barry say, Macon?
Nasher. What would Barry say? Barry would probably say that you're chatting absolute rubbish, Cameron. Cameron, you say that you're an F1 squire and a gentleman, but it's nothing but poppycock.
Yeah, Jack. Go on, let me read out these. Pericles has come back and says, damn, Cam, so the car was a dog at Mercedes, and Lewis said countless times that he was not comfortable with the car. What is so hard to understand? Marie says, oh my God, it's only race 1 and the conditions were all over the place. Let's give all drivers the benefit of a few more races before we think we got it sorted. Nisco says, so again, this is my serious take. Lewis is not washed, of course not. However, I think the 2021 season really damaged him. But give that man a really good car. I think he can win himself a championship. Oh, the humanity. It's getting techie. It
is getting techie, isn't it?
Can Lewis win a championship?
Okay, let me ask you this. Do you think that... Should we get fucking techie right now? Let's get techie right now. But this is what the people want. Are you saying to me that let's say we have a 2021 settings where the machinery is over the course of a season. Obviously, it's going to be track dependent and so forth. Over the course of a season, you've got Verstappen, you've got Norris, and you've got Lewis Hamilton in a title fight. Equal machinery. Equal machinery. You're telling me that you wouldn't take Lewis in that fight?
I am telling
Fuck
you.
it. Take Norris out. Fuck that. You got Verstappen and fucking Lewis. Again, 2021, equal machinery. Fuck Norris. Right?
How can I, Nasha?
As in, what, you want me to include Norris in that?
No. I'm saying even if you're just going to, mate, I think Norris makes it even more damning. Like, let's take out Norris.
Put Norris in there.
Nah,
give me the order. Give me the order. Norris, Verstappen, Lewis.
Chap, I just can't. Mate, Father Time is undefeated, undisputed. I don't care what anybody wants to say. I don't care. I don't care how strong the drink that you are drinking.
Do you not think experience is like a thing?
No, I think experience matters, Nasha, but I also think you got to give some sort of deference to statistics. This isn't me set. Listen, my crystal ball is as murky as the next person's, Nasha. I know nothing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Especially when it comes to predictions. Lost an SH1T load of money on Max Verstappen at the Australian Grand Prix.
Yeah, I know you did. God, you know,
mate,
the amount of people that saw rain and put money on Max.
But it was the bet. I think it was the good bet to make.
It was a good bet to make.
It was a good bet to make, even though focus on the processes over the outcomes. And so with that in mind, Nasha, if you're going to put equal bloody machinery,
yeah,
how can you not pick Max in 2025? If you rewind back to 2020, then we said this already, right? We have a conversation. 2019 Max Verstappen versus 2019 Lewis, but 2025 Max Verstappen versus 2025 Lewis. 40 years old, 3 F1 champions who've won at 40 years old or older, tells you exactly how steep the mounting is that Lewis will have to climb.
Do you not worry about Verstappen's continued inability to race wheel to wheel? If you want to talk about stats, do you not worry that? And especially now, where I think he's not got the free reign to do what he was doing in 2021. I think we saw that with some. Obviously, they kicked Johnny Herbert out, so who knows? It might go back to how it was back in the day, but. Are you telling me that you're not worried about someone that you claim to be the best driver at the moment, best driver of his generation, on his way, in some people's eyes, especially in this chat, I can see you guys, don't think I can't, to being the greatest driver of all time? Do you not worry about his absolute inability to handle pressure situations without contact?
Right. I see where you're leading me, Nasha. This is God.
No, but that's a championship.
No.
We're not just talking about hot laps. We're talking about a championship.
1,000%. No, we can talk about this. This is important as EC lets me know that I need to go 10 toes down. Cameron. Right, look, if we're going to couch it in these terms, the soft underbelly as far as Max Verstappen, his weakness will be the fact that we haven't seen him come from behind. You know, Lando got in the post-race press conference yesterday and said something to the effect of the whole circumstance was new for me. I've never been in the latter stages of a Grand Prix and had to defend Max Verstappen. I've never had to go through changeable conditions and call a pit stop and defend P1 and all together. That as a package deal, Lando saying that he's never had to overcome for that circumstance. Now, parlay that into Max. The problem for Max, the challenge for him, firstly, you've got the car right. F1 aficionados are saying that the gap between, I mean, you saw what they did in the dry. As soon as that track dried up, Oscar and Lando were like on Neptune instantly.
Yeah.
Mate, they were gone down the road. So if we're arguing the delta, then God himself can't overturn 4 or 5 tenths per lap. That's the first one. As far as your exhibit B, your exhibit A, even your exhibit B is this. If we're talking specifically about Max and to your question about the
for sure.
So he's done 1,020 days or something like that at the top of the driver's standings. Now, when you're in front to play defense, that comes into Max Verstappen's very unique brand of aggressive wheel-to-wheel combat, right? Like he can move as he moved in Austria and move as he moved in Abu Dhabi last year because Do you know what I mean? He can weaponize fear in the rest because
if
it's a DNF, it's a DNF, and you lose more than I lose. Like I can cut off my nose to spite my face. In that sense, we haven't seen Max interact with the other drivers like that for what 2021, right? Early on, and
and look how he behaved in Imola. Look how he behaved in Barcelona. You could even argue, Bahrain, but he went off the track, didn't he? So, well, not Bahrain. No, that doesn't really count. But like I would say, he was pretty aggressive. Imola was what, second race, and he would, there was shrapnel flying there. Barcelona, if Lewis doesn't move out of the way, they're definitely having a crash. So, but again, that is as someone who's never. What I will give him grace for on that is that that's someone who's never won a world title, realizing that he has to kind of grapple with that. He has to take the advantage of these situations, because if he doesn't get ahead of Lewis, he's not going to get past him, and then the championship goes. So again, I think I'm interested. Oh, sorry, I just have to address this. Lewis went off 29 times in Bahrain because there was no track limits at that corner, and then Red Bull complained and they put track limits in, and then Max overtook off the track. So blame Red Bull for complaining about track limits. So what I would say is, it would be interesting to see Max as a 4-time world champion hunting a world championship. I think that's what I want to see. Like this season, like you say, the differential between the cars, we're looking at 2 to 3 tenths per lap, and then some in dry, potentially, if Australia is anything to go by. And it'll be interesting to see whether or not we're looking at a situation where, is he the same risk taker? Is that aggression there, or is it channeled? For me, I think you're giving him a bit of leeway that he doesn't deserve. I think some of the techniques that he's used, if it was done on a go-kart track, they'd be condemned, let alone in a Formula One World Championship race. So I think for me, that's my thing with Max. I think that with me, I've got no issue. I think I've said it on my channel multiple times. People hate when I say it. I said it on Sunday, said it on Saturday. I said, I've never seen someone maximize their car, maximize the results as much as I've seen Verstappen do it. Whether it's a rocket ship, whether it's a piece of shit car, whatever. It's not even a piece of shit car, whatever. Like him ending up in second on Sunday, proof of that again. I remember fucking even Russia, Sochi, when he started in 17th, and I was like laughing about Lewis Hamilton like winning, and then I remember looking at this because like, how's this guy come through in second? He has the ability to do that. What I do worry about with Max is the pressure cauldron of being in a tight title fight, questions being asked of him every week, on the track, off the track, and how that affects him on the track. Look how he went at George, for fuck's sake. Look how he went at George.
No, but go on then.
That's not the temperament of like someone who I think has the bottle to go through. Like getting a George Russell when you've already won the title over something minor is a madness.
I've got to step in here, mate.
Step in, please.
Save me from the insanity and the chaos. Here's the problem with you, Nash, and I'll pick holes here, and forgive me for not leveraging a bit of Grice's razor. A couple of things you said there. Temperament, mate. Like, look, if you're talking under the umbrella term of being a bit too aggressive and sports etiquette, then cool, I'll give you those points. But the conversation that I thought we were having here, Nasha, is whether that dude can get it done, optimise for his probability of winning the championship.
But I think if
that's what we're talking about. No, it does hurt. And again, he's got 8 points on his licence. The first come off in Austria, which is race 10 or 11 or whatever. So he's got to be careful. He has got to tread carefully. But if you're talking about his ability to get it done, look no further than this race just gone by. He's got a 4/10 gap to the McLaren boys, both of them in front of him, and he still gets 18 points. Houseway. This doesn't even make sense. This dude, he's David Copperfield, Nasher, in this thing.
What did I say to you, Cam?
Mate,
what's the phrase I used with my man? He's inevitable, right?
Ominous.
Like, he's inevitable. But we're talking about, can he 100%. He will always maximize opportunities, but I'm talking about that wheel to wheel, which will be necessary over the course of he's going to have to pass slash defend from those McLarens, and he can't just let them by every fucking race because they've got a pace differential. At some point, he's going to have to get elbows out. Let's say around tracks where it's a bit more difficult to overtake, rather than the Silverstones and I was going to say your Austrias, but like your circuits where it's we've got straights where you can overtake. So for me, I think that's the Max Verstappen I want to see this season. And then I would maybe say, maybe I would say, that there's, um, maybe I would say that, there's been some growth there, but I don't think I haven't seen, in the same way that you're saying you've not seen it from Lewis yet or for a while, the data, I'm not seeing a driver who is maturing to a level where his head loss, which does happen, wouldn't affect him in a title fight. Let's be honest, like, yeah, he got his first one, but he shouldn't have. And we saw what happened towards the end of that season. And then
Look
we
at this dude trying to dig up old bones.
no. But I'm saying, look, but I'm trying to say that was 2021, and then we saw that period where everyone's like, oh, he's grown up, and then we saw it come back last season with Lando multiple times,
But again,
and Lewis, by the way. Let's not forget Hungary.
Yeah.
So
but Nasha, you're still talking about this. Let's play fair sports etiquette thing.
Fuck off.
Max doesn't Nasha. Max doesn't care
sport,
for that chat.
But that's
he will weaponize all of that. Those dark arts chats.
I think it's like I say, it's easy to do that when you're in the lead. Let's see when the probability of success and the fact of you losing points is bigger and you have a gap to chase. I'm interested to see that Max Verstappen, and that's all I'm saying. I understand,
but you speak, where it's coming from. But you speak as though, Nasha, that the rest, particularly because it's going to be Lando or Oscar, right? You
yeah,
speak.
100%.
The joke is, I think
Oscar's got no business.
I think if it's Oscar, then it's chaos. But I think Lando doesn't still. Okay, so Lando 2.0 this race weekend, the nuance, the move off the line, etc. Like he looks a lot different. Like that was very, very clever and leveraging devilment, etc., etc. Maybe we're yet to be seen as far as whether Lando can take it to Max and overtake him and go wheel to wheel. It's a different thing. But yet and still, Nasha, Max Verstappen as we know him, I just think, look, if he's in with a shout, if he's within, let's say, a tenth and a half of Lando, I just don't think I don't think it's fair on Lando. Shout out to the Pit Stop Fracker boys, by the way, saying quick check-in. Listen, I just don't think if it's even fair, Nasha.
What?
I don't think it's fair to compare Lando under the umbrella heading of racecraft, resilience, mental fortitude. Max is born to do this SH.
Oh no! Look. There's levels to it.
Correct.
There's levels to it. And look, I feel like Max fans, like, they can't hear anything like any kind of like constructive criticism about Max. It's like, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? Like, let me go out and say, I think Max is a very fast driver. I think Max maximizes all of his situations. I've said it on my own channel. I'll say it here. With Lando Norris, we're yet to see whether he can handle the pressure of a title-winning campaign. He's got a quicker car this year than he did last year, so again, we might see that maturity borne out through not really having to do any wheel-to-wheel racing. But all I'm saying is, like, it's easy to fucking make moves like Austria, Hungary, Austin. Is it Austin? It's easy to do those. Mexico, so that's 4. That's a sixth of the races last season, off the top of my head, right? It's easy to do those kind of things when you've got a big lead, and if we crash, right? You're the one who's chasing me. It'll be interesting to see how those situations are this season if he's the one having to chase Lando. That's all.
I don't hate that. very, very tactfully said. As much as I'd love to pick holes in it, I don't hate that. You're alluding to the fact that there are material variables which have changed. And again, it's the points on the license. It's coming from behind. 1,000 days he's spent leading the championship, but I don't think that makes the bloody car. I think the car is the thing. That's going to be the thing that hurts him. I don't think Max is all of a sudden going to be from behind and just drive any different. He is who he is. Like he's gonna give it to them. I don't think he. If we're going to talk Max Verstappen weaknesses, he can adapt, but I don't think he can change that style. Nash, it's almost his gift and his curse. This is who I am. Here are the lines. This is the parameters within which I am working as an F1 driver. You do you. You can adapt, and if you've had your Weetabix this morning, you'll drive one way, and then the next morning you'll drive a different way. No, this is me. This is me. You think you're going to come around my outside, and my name is Max Verstappen? You've got another thing coming. You must be having a giraffe. No chance. He's told you that. Nothing if not a true sale. So I think it's going to be an interesting season, Nasha. I can't wait to see. Here's hoping that Lando's got something for Max. I want to see. He had on the weekend. Just barely,
I want to see it.
Just barely,
I want to see
by the
it.
way, Nasha, on the weekend. You know that.
Who Lando?
Yeah, just barely by the.
Respect my boy.
But go on, let's talk about Lando very quickly, because you know my take on Lando Norris for the longest time. Now I've had to rechristen him Lando 2.0.
Yeah.
How fortuitous were the circumstances within which Lando was able to take himself 25 points on this race weekend?
Do you think it was fortuitous that a red flag came out in Brazil just when Max Verstappen needed a red flag?
Of course it was. Of course it was.
That's what happens in wet races. Like, you got to keep it on the track. Like, and obviously, look, he just about did. I'm not saying that, he was flawless. I think that was even he went in the gravel, right?
100%.
Dipped a toe in the gravel. Yeah, dipped a toe in the gravel, didn't he? So, it wasn't perfect. But also Max wasn't perfect, when his tires started going against Oscar, and, he lost position there. And, look, I can't describe, like, for me, I don't think people realize like how ridiculous that race was on Sunday. Maybe because like we've been watching it for a fucking long time. There's different types of rain. Like, do you know what I mean? You've got like deluge rain, which is what Brazil was, which is rain in and of itself. But then you've got like these mixed conditions, plus like mixed conditions. If we had these conditions in Silverstone, it's a completely different race. Like a circuit made for it, drainage, it probably would have dried out a lot quicker than it did. There's no like white lines on the circuit, like it's wide. Australia, like white lines all over the place, different types of rubber on the surface, like the cold temperatures, like that was like to see people like to see Fernando Alonso crash out.
Chaos.
Washed. Like, and look, it's not just one rookie. Like 1, 2, 3. Was it 4 rookies?
Yeah, four of the 6.
Four of the 6, if we're including Liam Lawson. Yeah, 4 of the 6 putting it into the wall shows like just how difficult these cars are to drive in those conditions. So I don't begrudge anyone who. I think everyone, like Charles Leclerc had a little spin. Other people. Behrman had a spin again. Like, I don't begrudge anyone kind of going off or whatever. I think for Lando, he had damage in that last part of the race as well. So I think it was a great performance from Lando. Fortuitous, 100%. It could have been him. But I always feel like Oscar kind of put his foot, he like kept his foot down when he was in the grass, and then he was trying to turn. Unbelievable. I watched the onboard. I was like, Oscar,
Chaos.
what do you think was going to happen?
Ambitious. and testament to his being so green that he didn't do as Max did behind him. I mean, that's Mr. Windsor, friend of the channel, said it earlier, right? That the beauty with changeable conditions is when you're not leading, you can use the bod in front of you as a test dummy, right? A guinea pig per se, as Max did to the two. So why? Oscar's a brilliant driver, but why didn't?
I mean, but we saw Lewis do the same with George in Silverstone. The two Mercedes went off, didn't they? But then he ended up going past him. So for me, I think it was look. I think anyone who kept it on the track that day is did a great job. Look, I don't think enough's being said about Lance Stroll.
Mate, I
Like,
can't. We don't even utter that
I
name on
know,
this
but
channel.
I'm saying like
Chaos.
there's drivers you'd expect to have stuck it in the wall that did not stick it in the wall.
I don't
There's
know.
cars
Well,
that were in the
but
points that should not have been in the
go
points,
what? But
and I think that's testament. That's driver skill. Honestly,
true.
yesterday was a day for drivers. We asked for like the everything to be fucking whatever. Like yesterday was a day for fucking driver skill, and like I've got mad respect for everyone that kept it on track yesterday, and then extra respect for the guy with the fastest lap, pole position, winning the race, lights to flag. In all those changeable
1,000%
conditions,
chaos.
you can't not respect it.
Lando 2.0. Electronic cornbread in the house. EC. You're doing purple sectors. I can't believe we're getting this for free. Good TV, gents. Keep cooking. Listen, I defer to Nasha of Quick Stop F1
No,
market
look,
leading channel.
look. You know,
Deserves all the credit.
it's always no. Look, I think this is the thing. I just want to say, like, this is what F1 content is about. Like,
100.
you've got. I think you've got people. You've got differing opinions, but it's respectful. I think we're both people who've look. I love Lewis Hamilton. I'm biased as fuck. Like, and it's annoying to some people. I get it, but beyond that, there's a love for the sport and there's a real understanding for the sport. So I think when you've got two people and an audience who love the sport. We've got that over at Quick Stop. You've got that here. I think it's a privilege to be able to sit and talk F1 like this with you. You don't get this in many places. Drink it in, savor it.
Touche, sir. I was going to ask you about Kimi Antonelli very quickly and whether you think
Yeah,
he's the
sure.
second coming of Alain Prost, le professeur, or is it just is it hype, chap?
Oh no, the hype is real.
Oh,
I mean, look, the hype is real. What I would say is, I did see something earlier that was like, we do have to consider the amount of testing this kid's had. This is not, not in this car, but he's been in old cars, thousands and thousands of kilometers of testing. So he's at a slight advantage compared to some of the other rookies. Having said that, what was it, 15th, 16th? 16th to 4th.
Unbelievable.
Of course, again, fortuitous with the amount of people who've gone out. However, you've got to keep it on the track. Look at his age mates. The hype is real. It's a bit sacrilegious for me to say because he's the reason that Lewis isn't at Mercedes anymore, but also I think that was a relationship that needed to end. I think I've just seen Chiba's comment saying, I need to see more on a dry weekend. I think he would have been. There was nothing that I saw in testing, nothing that I saw in practice, and that would make me think that without a broken bib, floor under tray, that he wouldn't have been in Q3 and he wouldn't have probably been up there around the George Max area.
Oh, mate.
I think he would have definitely outqualified the Ferraris.
Oh,
What? You don't think so? Mate, Albon did. Was it Albon? Was it Yuki? Yeah, Yuki and Albon did. So if you're telling me that Kimi Antonelli in that Mercedes, as pretty comfortable as it looked in testing and in practice, it doesn't look like the beast that it was last year for sure. Having intimate experience of watching onboards of that car, I think he would have outqualified Yuki and Albon, and then who knows in the race. So, I think he's the real. I get the same feeling watching him that I got watching. That I got watching Charles Leclerc. That I got watching. That you got watching. I don't want to say Verstappen, but I think
if you'd have said Lewis or Verstappen now.
But we have to remember, like Verstappen in the Toro Rosso days was good, but it wasn't like it was good because he was 16, not 16. How was he? Yeah, it was 16, wasn't he? 7. So it was good, like, but it wasn't like for me, like him and Sainz were. The fact that they were comparable was only mad because he's only 17 and it just, it's pretty much skipped junior formulas. But I'm just saying we're looking at someone special. I'm not saying that this guy is going to be Verstappen, but he's going to be in that top tier of Formula One drivers. just below, at least just below Lewis, Fernando,
Oof.
Max. Like, I think he's going to be in that George Russell, Leclerc, well,
Chaos.
Norris will see, because Norris could elevate himself this season.
It's taking Ash. I don't know. I'm reserving judgment on Kimi Antonelli. Look, they say that you judge young drivers based upon not their consistency in long form, but how bright their flame burns when it burns at its brightest. And he's been, in that sense, I mean, he looked ridiculously good. Monza FP1 last year. I mean, not a bad race. This race, like you said, P16, P4 in the end. But I just, I feel like Nasha, we're too long and old and grey-bearded for this. I've read this book before. I've seen a gazillion young, hungry lions come through, full of potential and prospect.
Not in the top team.
And bloody McLarini, all these buds that came through. Jean, these buds were meant to come through and be the next one. Ralph, when he came in, Jacques was meant to dominate for years and years, and it didn't happen. Bruno Senna, when Ayrton said, "You think I'm fast? Wait till you see my nephew." Do you understand where I'm going with this, Nasha? Hence,
for sure. Yeah, we need a bigger sample size.
1,000%.
We need a bigger sample size. But I think, for me, the tools are there. Whether that's fulfilled or not, I guess we'll see. But the tools are there. I think it's more likely that he will do relatively well than. Look, you just got to look at how everyone else has started this season with those rookies. Promise, but sticking it in the wall. And I just think, again, if we're talking about yesterday's race being, what do you call it, a driver's race, look, I don't want to talk about it, but I was thinking of Oscar, but Kimi ran the outside of fucking Albon.
True. But then Behrman around the outside of Kimi at Monaco. I just don't know. I feel like I've got evidence. I feel like I've almost got a cacophony, even, if I can get my words out, of evidence that indicates that he'll be a god tier one as much as he'll be a bust. I'm not sure. I'll need to see something. Like when Max bloody, like Max in his first year, Toro Rosso, Monaco, when he in free practice, when he was like a tenth for drift of Sir Luke. I need to see something like that where I'm like, all right then, but this is dangerous now. That this is irrefutable evidence that I can no longer ignore. I need to see it. That was good yesterday. Don't get it twisted, but I don't know.
I don't think it was very good.
No, there were moments. The save was sexy. The overtake. There were moments. He was good. Let me not. But I just need to see it in longer. I don't like the fact that Behrman overtook him around the outside in Monaco. Chap, I'll be honest with you. As soon as I saw that, I thought, you know what? Would Lewis? You think young Lewis is having that at Monaco?
They're teammates as well, though. If he'd stuck him in the wall in Monaco as his teammate, then, well, judging by you lot on this channel, you'd be like, world champion in the making. But but you can't do that. You can't stick your teammate in the wall.
But you can't overtake. This is why Max speaks about overtaking around the outside, right? Because it's a slap in the face. It's like a lead right hand in boxing, isn't it? You can't really. It's a flipping cheek that you're going to cover more distance at a greater lick and then end up in front of me and stick it. Nah, not having it. And so that Ollie Behrman managed to do that.
I hear that. But motorsport is a dance, isn't it? At its best.
Touché.
And to dance, you need two willing players, and sometimes you've got to let someone else.
All right.
All
right, Damo. Dastardly. Sport doesn't build character, it reveals it. Chill out over there, Damo.
No. But for real. Look, I think for sure. But also, this is a kid with pretty. Again, we're looking at limited timing in cars here, and let's see. Like you say, the proof will be in the pudding. The proof will be in the pudding.
I agree with that. As you round third base, Nasha Sakotukwa, let me leverage the final question at you this way. I want to hear one name, one word answer. Who have you got for the championship in 2025?
Lando Norris.
Oh my God. What's he done here?
Yeah.
And on that bombshell, chat.
Who have you got?
It's tough. This.
You really? You think you reckon he's doing 5? He's not doing it, mate. It's not happening.
Can't back against the fella chap. I just can't.
It's not happening.
I can't.
It's not happening.
I can't do it.
You know what? Yeah, if he wins it this year, fuck it. Like
Mega. You will have to bend the knee, Nasha.
Oh,
have to.
Well, we know how people we know how people feeling about taking a knee, but yeah, like, but no, like for me,
You know.
I think Max fans love talking about, like, the funny thing with Max fans, respectfully, which I love about you guys, is they ran oh, Lewis only wins because of the car gimmick for like years, and then like Max gets like a fast car and it's like, oh, he's just extracting so much out of this car. God, he's just doing so well, blah blah blah. And last season, I actually kind of like I saw that. I did see that a little bit towards the end of last season, like I say, like extracting results. This season, if he wins it and the cars are like this, McLaren have fucked it, but he would have done something ridiculous, because if the pace is, I don't think the Red Bull is that far off. I think we're talking about 2-3 tenths a second and the rest. But I think on circuits where it's more difficult to overtake, of which there are a lot in an F1 calendar, and obviously aerodynamically Red Bull will always be there. I think he's got a good chance, but I just think McLaren have got too much this season. And I think, Oscar mistakes aside, I don't think he's going to be finishing second. I think he's going to be finishing third more than he's finishing second. And I think, what's the point gap? 10 points? I think that's a bit, I think giving up 10 points on too many occasions is maybe a bridge too big to handle for me to cross. So that's why. It's not because I don't believe Max is a fast driver, but I just think McLaren have got too much this season, and I think Lando's ready. I do think he's ready.
One backs against Max on the 17th of the 3rd, 2025 at their own peril, mate. Mileage may vary, Nasha, but I just don't do it based upon what we've seen over the past, particularly the past 6 months. I just can't. I can't back against, like, by hook or by crook. I cannot back against the deal. I'm just trying to look at the bloody odds because he's not favourite anymore. Lando.
Who, Max?
Lando is a huge. Like, look at that. Lando's at odds on favourite.
Was Lando not favourite?
No, Lando was favourite, but a minor favourite. Just after testing, he became like more material favourite. Yeah. Now though, he's odds on. Oh my gosh, they're saying that Lando wins the championship 55.5% of the time recurring, and that Max wins the championship.
What's the odds?
20% of the time, 4-1.
4-1.
That's chaos, Jeff.
Tasty.
That's good. Anyway, mate, you've been an absolute legend. Tasty. As per usual. If you enjoy market leading insight courtesy of Nasha of Quick Stop F1, go over to that channel on YouTube and the TikToks and the Twitters and subscribe and watch a lot and like and comment and share. Again, for the avoidance of doubt, that's Quick Stop F1, all one word, no spaces, no gaps. Nasha, you've been absolute legend, chap, as always. I enjoy these verbal tete-a-tetes with you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, look, we've all got differing opinions. No one's right. There's like, I think we've all like that's yeah. Everyone's got differing opinions. It's like, as long as you can keep it respectful, like, do you know what I mean? Like, a couple of you man haven't kept it respectful, but that's fine. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? That's fine. I'll take that. I'll put that on my shoulders. Okay. Okay. If I have to put that on my shoulders, that's fine. But yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. Thank you to everyone in the chat. You guys love the banter. I love the fucking F1 Norris. Thank you for putting me in my place about Max's debut season. I'll take that back. Do you know what I mean? I'll take it back. You see? Do you know what I mean? I'm not too proud. I'm not too proud.
It's an exchange.
It's an exchange. It's an exchange.
one can't take the high road and deliver a sneaky passag shot. Do you know what I mean? Without being held accountable. Do you know what I mean? My guys and girls in the chat aren't having that. Not over CC. But Nash out as always, brother. You've been an absolute legend. Shout out to the guys in the chat. Listen for the super chats. Macon, you're a legend. EC, you're an absolute legend. Of a different caliber, purple sectors each and every single time. Between now and next time, remember as always to look but never stare.